Hello everybody all at once. This is Theo Cedar Jones on May 16th, 2014. And here to just do a little debunking of the whole reptilian information that has been coming through YouTube. And I just want to say that I think that the reptilian myth, that there is a kind of master race species that's been unseen behind the scenes, operating through the secret shadow government of planet Earth and manipulating worldly powers in all their forms, including Obama, to create World War III and utter despoilment of the human trajectory towards enlightenment. And that these fundamental beasties are the real ultimate baddies. And I want to say tonight how, to me, true or not, regardless of the historic accuracy of any of that we are using the reptilian idea or myth as an extension of the Satan myth. The new Satan myth is a reptilian myth. And that there is an external source of ultimate evil. And when you hear David Icke talk about it and say things like, Obama is just a puppet. The Bushes are just puppets. The real power are something like an aggregate of the Illuminati and secret shadow government in its ultimate interiorized, compartmentalized form, combined with reptilian overlord types that may have been behind the scenes on planet Earth, not just for 10,000 years, perhaps, not just 100,000 years, but maybe 1,000,000 years, who knows? Maybe a long, 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 dark time on planet Earth. And what I think that this contemporary interpretation of the reptilian myth is doing is simply extending the irresponsible mythology of Satan into a contemporary format. And the effect of that mythology is that people continue to believe that evil is an externalized, objectified something or other outside of themselves that's manipulating in unseen and occult ways the levers of power and finance and technology for evil, nefarious purposes, for the eventual and in fact ongoing right now enslavement, genocide, and tyranny and mass destruction of planet Earth. And what this does is extend the fundamental lie or illusion that the source of evil is outside yourself. David Icke talks and acts like the source of evil is something he, through his clever and heroic means, is going to uncover, and just through his heroic exposure, David Icke is going to save the world from this great evil, and he's going to expose the great evil. But he is perpetuating the fault, the fundamental myth that the source of evil is an externalized, objectified something or other outside yourself, like Satan, or like ancient reptilian extraterrestrial overlord types. And what this does, what this mythology perpetuates, is the fundamental irresponsibility of the ego, which always wants to externalize responsibility for what it is primarily at fault for, which is being the source of all the evil and all the unnecessary human-caused suffering in this world. You, the ordinary ego, are the fundamental source of all the evil and unnecessary human-caused suffering to yourself and to those around you, and therefore systemically to the evil ego-based culture of the world. So it all is like a fountain springing from your self-contraction. And David Icke is misleading the masses by using his heroic exposure of the reptilian and Illuminati agenda as a way to perpetuate this faulty illusion that the source of evil is externalized and objectified something or other outside yourself. And that if you could just use your journalistic wit and scientific method and courageous Herculean heroic efforts to uncover the true ultimate evil, that you would be celebrated, adored, and have your dick sucked, by the gullible hordes, who are paying $1 to keep you afloat. So I have a fundamental criticism tonight in this diatribe discourse about David Icke, Ken Wilber, and Deepak Chopra, because you could say these are 3 of the most influential people in consciousness in the big loud media circus, and gotten the most traction for the consciousness dollar on planet Earth, and therefore we need to talk about their effect, because they claim to be experts on consciousness. They claim to be experts on liberation and truth and ultimate matters of significance to the human race. So we're going to do major reality check on these 3 people, and in the process explain how they are all perpetuating the fault of the ego culture in Narcissus, and that none of them are confessing Narcissus in themselves. That's the first confession, and that is also the understanding of the ultimate conspiracy. The ultimate conspiracy is not the reptilians. It's not the Rockefellers. It's not the Rothschilds. It's not the Jews. It's not the Zionists. It's not the 1%. It is you, Swirlbait, Underpants McGee, you. And me. I am Narcissus. I take responsibility for being the ego cult unto myself. I am like a magical source of suffering, a godlike source, if you will, of manifesting illusion, fault, unnecessary human-caused suffering, and all evil. That's right, here at home, people. Evil starts at home. That's the proximal philosophy. Evil starts at home. The neighborhood wars start at home. Everything that's bad about this world is not only fixable right where you are sitting, but it is exacerbated and perpetuated right where you're sitting, because you are ego. You are the ego culture. You are the ego. David Icke, you are the ego, Ken Wilber, and you are the ego, Deepak Chopra. And the sooner that you can get up on your well-financed soapbox and tell the masses that I confess I am Narcissus, and I confess that there is a greater truth and greater consciousness, representation, and authority in this world than me, namely Adi Da. Adi Da is the true authority, not Deepak Chopra, not David Icke, not Ken Wilber. And those guys need to put their head at the feet of Adi Da and simply get on with it. But meanwhile, we have to repair this illusion that any kind of disclosure about extraterrestrials or reptilians or the Illuminati or the Bilderberg Group or any of the power elites of the secret shadow government, real though they may be on this planet, are ultimately not it. What is it are the 2 great callings, which is realizing 7th stage divine realization in Adi Da's company as a formal devotee of his, and to be a representative in the Global Cooperative Forum on behalf of all of Earthkind. See? It's simple. There is an answer. Fulfill the 2 great callings. That's the real truth. That's the real deal. Adi Da and the Global Cooperative Forum. Not what Wilber, Icke, and Chopra have been selling you, which is keeping a veil over Adi Da, which is not disclosing to you their sources and their ultimate source, which is all the true spiritual masters. Of course, they do acknowledge that, but they are all coy or ambiguating or overtly character assassinating Adida. And that's doing a great disservice to humanity, which needs the ego transcending ultimate wisdom of Adida to deal with the core problem of this world, which is not Satan, which is not externally objectified evil of any form, but is what you are doing. You are doing it now. You as an individual ego, and you all as the ego culture. And as Adida says in Not to His Peace, our job collectively is to stop the ego culture in its tracks. Deepak Chopra, stop the ego culture in its tracks. Ken Wilber, stop the ego culture in its tracks and get with Adida's ultimate wisdom. David Icke, stop the ego culture in its tracks and confess Narcissus in yourself, as what you are doing. So, that's my rant about reptilians. And now, for my last trick, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Do you want to see me shapeshift as a reptilian? Or, do you want to see me levitate? Or, do you want to see me disappear into light?